Oh man, it's been so long since I've done this live, live and direct. See if anybody comes on in while I'm on my lunch break. Ah, we're gonna talk about today. Cynical one is in the house. What's happening, sister? Good to see you. Welcome to the live. Thank you for hitting the like too. Yo, new, what's going on, my man? What's happening? What's happening? Good to see you. Just thought I'd come on in and see what's up with the live since I haven't done this in a while. What's happening, Saudi? That's my brother right there. What's happening, man? Yeah, late lunch, man. Real late. Been stuck in traffic for 3 hours. Damn idiots out here in Cali cannot drive, but I'm sure we all know that. Yeah. Thought I'd turn the camera on. I mean, the camera ain't on, but I thought I'd turn the phone on and go live and chop it up with some, spread some thoughts. Been doing a lot of content lately about things that divide us, race. And I posted one lie, not a lie, but I posted last couple of nights ago about what I thought would happen if an actual race war broke out. What would happen to black men? Took it down though because it was all grady and shit, and just wasn't satisfied with it. I'd rather do things in the daytime. But nevertheless, I think I'll talk a little bit more about the foolishness of race because I really do think race is just some dumbass shit. The more I read, the more I learn. You say, wow, same in LA. It's like the road is demolition derby out here. Yeah, man. Hell, I was in Wilmington, Saudi, and I seen a stupid motherfucker driving up the sidewalk to escape traffic. I said, look at this shit. I tried to pull my phone out real fast, man, and record it, but I couldn't catch him. Yeah, it's just getting bad out here, man. It's always been bad, but you never know what you're gonna see. You really don't. Cali is a different zone. It's just different. Yeah, yeah, man. Oh, well, look, I got 13 people up in here. Didn't expect that. But yeah, I'm gonna just gonna vent today a little bit about the foolishness of race, because I think what I'm going to do with this channel since I've changed it. My plan is this, y'all. I'm going to start off where I am, which is talking about tools of division, race, class, religion. That's going to be a touchy one because I'm, religion, how it attaches to people's psyche, and they'll fight you over religion. But yeah, I have a lot to say about that one. Class, position, just all the things that divide us. But right now, I'm stuck on race, and then after these tools of division, what I want to do is talk about maybe mix in a bunch of topics like some of the old stuff about marriage. Not so much. I want to steer away from that, but also talk about body language, neurolinguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, and not presented in a boring way. But I want to teach people how to basically get past their egos, get along. Hell, maybe even find a soulmate and shit, if that's what you're looking for, whatever. Uh, got a lot of books I want to present. Probably throw some book readings up. Um, but anyway, I don't want to get too far in. I just want to right now focus on the foolishness of race. You know, those who, oh, what happened to the numbers? Three. Went down to three. Oh well, maybe YouTube's tripping with the numbers. But whoever else comes in here for the sake of recording this live, welcome to the Road Scholar. And I want to thank you for coming in here, giving me your precious time and attention, like I always say. And like I said, I really go hard on the topic of race. And as I said, the reason is because I realize it's literally the ultimate obfuscation. Excuse the noise. See, there's a lot of people on. Yeah, yeah. See, my numbers keep jumping from like 3 to 7 to 42. I don't know. Whatever. Whoever's in here, thank you for being here. But as I was saying, I realize it's just the ultimate obfuscation. You know, it literally complicates humanity, but improves nothing about it, in my opinion. You know, I mean, seriously, people, seriously, have you done what I've done? Have you really just stopped and thought about how stupid the whole concept of race really is? You know, it's ridiculous. Human beings, you know, the most intelligent species on this planet. That's what human beings are. We've just managed to convince ourselves, you know, this meaningless shit. That's all I can describe it as, man. You know, skin tone, hair texture, geography. You know, convince ourselves that it somehow makes us a different species when in reality we're one species. Maybe I can't remember what was it, the DNA basically of all people. There's kind of like 1% that separates us or something. But regardless, we're one people. But for centuries, men in power, of course, we all know they decided it was more profitable to keep us divided than unite us once they lose that power. So they invented a race. And today on this live, I'm just going to vent about it and try to give a breakdown about race and how it was manufactured. I hope I don't sound too boring. You know, of course, Europe was the factory floor. You know, now I'm aware that this is a huge topic I'm trying to basically condense into a live. I'm on my lunch break and it's 30 minutes, but you know, I'm gonna condense it into a bit of a crash course on the development of what I consider the greatest and most ridiculous hustle of division. That's right, New. It has always been conquer and divide, man. And I'm sick of it. That's why I'm talking about this shit. I'm really tired of it. So, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it started in Europe. The Europeans, they actually used it against themselves, from what I've learned. You know, class differences, rich versus poor, nobles versus commoners, ridiculous names and titles. It got rebranded as biological truths, meaning if you were born poor, well, that ain't just bad luck. No, they said your blood was inferior. When I read that shit, I said, look at this stupid shit. Your blood is inferior? So is that why you were eating us? No, let me not go there. Let me not go there. Let me stick to the topic, y'all. I'm sorry. This is a bit touchy for me because I really hate it. But just like that, hierarchies became natural. You know, minorities in Europe, like the Jews, they were painted as racially inferior as well. They had political struggles and you know, the prejudice for that shit was redefined as racial incompatibility. The division became permanent. You know? Then, well, then came the so-called philosophers and the writers who literally polished this fucking lie. You know, hey, Ian, hey, welcome in, welcome, brother. But so there was this guy who I ran across in my reading. His name, I still I have such a hard time pronouncing French names. His name was Henry de Belainvilliers, is the way I say it. I know I'm butchering the shit out of that. You know how they talk. Belainvilliers, whatever. You know. Anyways, this cat, he argued that each social class carried distinct hereditary traits. It's bullshit. Then later, they had writers that glorified the Germanic stock, basically white folks, and they split the Europeans into three supposed strains. I didn't know that. Nordics, the Alpines, and the Mediterraneans. I wish I was able to pull like a chart up, but I'm doing this on the phone. Anyway, they slap stereotypes onto each group, like labeling fucking jars of preserves or something. Anyway, basically all propaganda disguised as philosophy. Straight bullshit, man. You know. But I also learned that the biggest salesman of this shit, this racial hierarchy, salute to you, brother. The biggest salesman of this shit was a dude with another weird ass name, Joseph Arthur de Gabineau. Gabineau, I don't know. I don't know how. Fucking French, man. That's why I never took the shit in school, yo. You know? So if anybody in here speaks it, please excuse me. But fuck you. Anyway, um, in the mid 1800s, this punk bitch, Gabineau, he wrote an essay on the inequality of human races, right? He was the one. He was the one who divided the world into white, yellow, and black. And surprise, surprise, motherfuckers, he put the whites on top, right? Claimed civilization came from whites and that mixing races led to collapse. The shit spread like California wildfires, man, especially in Germany, where there was some, I read there was some kind of, he said this is going to be good. I seen a documentary about that clown. Really? Shit, I got to find it because I want to see what anybody else says about it. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yeah, Germany. Germany took this heavy, man. You know, they had a composer out there that I am familiar with named Richard Wagner. That nigga promoted this shit like gospel. But in the late 1800s, there was another motherfucker named Hewart Stewart Chamberlain who took this shit to the stratosphere. You know, 1899, this cat here, he published uh, The Foundations of the 19th Century, which basically became the fucking Bible for racial nationalism. Now, check this shit out, y'all. Peep this. This dude said nations rise or fall depending on their Teutonic blood. Teutonic meaning white blood, right? You got this is how take this how you will, but I've been consuming content like this ever since I graduated high school, and I was never able to make it known to creators like yourself how much I truly appreciate the half. Well, I thank you, and so I'm glad that somebody's in here that understands where I'm going with this. You know, I'm new to learning all this information, and I'm like dumbfounded at all this. You know. Anyway, all these lies became the intellectual foundation that the Nazis later weaponized. You know, because they use, like I said, they use this shit on themselves first. But I don't want to sit here and focus on that. Yeah, he's got wisdom, and it was only until recently where all the efforts and knowledge have started to show in results in my day-to-day life. If that makes sense, yes, it makes sense. It takes years until I can officially say thank you. Amen. Maybe you need to start presenting your knowledge because there are people out here that appreciate it. And yeah, I don't want to sit here and focus too much on Europe, you know, because they didn't keep this fucking poison. We all know they shipped that shit straight across the Atlantic. Now, so we go back a little bit. As early as the 1600s, we had English colonists who already was spreading the myth that Africans were less than human. They tied Africans to apes like they do today, and that's where it comes from. Quite the imagination, you know. They claimed that black people were over overly sexual. What you saying? I know you're on a different subject, but I keep it going. I'll stop interrupting. It's all good, brother. I'm gonna bring this around, man. I know I'm what you say, you going through a state of shock as I did as well. I learned the idea of race as a man-made construct. Of course, it's a normal reaction, brother. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it knee deep too, brother. I'm in it knee deep. But let's see here. We're from Europe. You know, then like I said, they considered us animal-like and immoral. I still see that shit today. You know, the sickness didn't die in the 17th century. It shit still lingers in the media and culture today. You want to ask what sparked the fire in me to do what I do? Well, I want to make an impact before I die. You know, I don't know when that's going to be. So I want to make sure that my life amounts to something besides raising children, being a father and a husband. So, uh, I want to do something that's going to maybe spark interest in my brothers and sisters becoming united. And I'm not talking about just the people wrapped in the same color flesh as me. I want all these social constructs, all these tools of division to be erased. And I know that it's wishful thinking, but the information for it to happen is out there. All we have to do is just push past the egos and the dissonance, and just be willing to search for the information. I want to do my part in contributing to that information. So now, okay, so anyway, one of the most notorious motherfuckers that contributed to all this bullshit, ironically, his name was Edward Long. Name sound familiar to anybody? Anyway, this Eddie Long cat, he wrote in 1774, History of Jamaica, right? This cat, oh man, this cat was the one that painted Africans as lazy and closer to orangutans than men. And he was also the one that pushed the lie of the predatory black male. You know that shit that Hillary Clinton was talking about years ago, and Joe Biden and all them. Anyway, straight up myth white society clung to for centuries. That was used to justify the terror and the lynching. And then after all that, the science joined in. We had the doctors and the scientists. They began measuring skulls and claiming black brains were smaller. You know, you called that bullshit biology, but it was never science. It was actually pseudoscience, or what I like to call shit science. All created to give slavery and white supremacy a rational excuse. They are new, and they still trying to find the missing link. It is them, you know. But by the time, what you say, Saudi? Well, I got Got to cut it short, getting ready to recharge, brother. Oh yeah. Tell the fam I said, what's up? God bless. I'll catch you in the next one. It's awesome to see you doing your own thing. Yeah, brother, I'm breaking away from everybody. I'm breaking away. I'm doing my shit, man. Yeah, I'm gonna stay safe, brother. And please tell me when the next time you're gonna be around my area so we can go get some drinks or something, man. Shoot some pool, you know. But yeah, so to say you would think that after all this time they digress. No, man. I mean, think about it, Ian. If you came from a place that was predominantly cold, and the climate was full of non-arable land, and you had to fight to survive, what kind of mentality would you develop? You know, I believe that has something to do with a lot of why we have certain people the way they are in positions. You know, I believe that is the reason why these tools of division have been so prominent. So, uh, so basically, to summarize all of this shit, because I don't want to spend too long. I gotta rush through this. Race was built to divide. Would you say? Sure. Let you know when I'm around. Yeah, man. Do that, please. Race was built to divide. Then it was polished by the philosophers and the aristocrats. Then it got spread by the writers and the culture. Then it got dressed up in science. And then it got absorbed into American life. You know? But the wildest shit is for me, y'all, now that I sit here and really reflect on this shit, what's wild to me is that humanity actually buys into this blindly. I mean, whole societies organize themselves around this nonsense, like it's gospel. We got laws enforcing it, media reinforcing it, schools teaching it. You know, shit is nuts, seeped into our bones. You know, and we actually started enforcing it ourselves. We literally became the prison guards of our own minds. You say, but why? Are the facts so hard to determine? Brother, I don't, some of the biggest flaws. Well, you know, what, it's going to take, I think it's going to take some a serious reset or some outside threat. I don't know, some catastrophe for a realization to happen. You know, race doesn't change how people treat each other. It warps how we think. We know that it creates a false sense of superiority for some motherfuckers and an internalized sense of inferiority for other motherfuckers. So you can argue that those catastrophes are piling up as we speak. These are not these aren't no brother. These aren't catastrophes. What I mean is on a grand global scale. I really hate to sound like I'm calling for a great reset, but I don't see any changes coming drastically enough. I don't see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know because I've secluded myself over the years. Because I do have a lot of people that I really consider brothers who are white, black, Mexican. You know, and now that I think about it, through life, I've met more like-minded people than bigots and racists, and I met a lot of ignorant motherfuckers. I'll tell you that. Plenty of ignorance. But uh, we've definitely been tricked to think, you know, into believing that this shit is real. You know, race. That's actually what it does. It tricks one man into believing he's a king just because of his complexion and convincing another that he's less human because of his. You know, cognitive sabotage, psychological warfare at its finest. And look how foolish we are in the process, though. I mean, come on, we're not even the fucking colors we claim. Ain't nobody pitch black out here. Ain't nobody paper white out here. You know, every single human on this planet is a fucking shade of brown. Period. Light brown, dark brown, golden brown, honey brown, reddish brown. You know, but somehow somebody told you and me that we're black, and somehow somebody told you you're white, and we swallowed it whole, never realizing those words weren't descriptions, man. Straight chains of division. As that's why I'm focusing on this content. Every single time you identify yourself primarily by a color label, you're subscribing subconsciously to a system that was designed to keep your ass locked in competition, engulfed in suspicion and separation, embracing all of it. System where my value is pre-decided before I even open up my fucking mouth. You know? And then you wonder why we can't get unity? It's because we're still speaking the enemy's language, brother. Like I said, race is the dumbest hustle humanity ever fell for. And yet we cling to it like it's sacred. We let it dictate who we marry, who we hire, who we trust, who we hate, where we live, what we fucking eat. You know, this shit is amazing to me. And it's all while the planet suffers, the resources dwindle. You know? Anybody ever sit back and think what happens if you drain all? Let me get off this because I've probably been on long enough. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Thank you for coming in, by the way. The greatest, and this will help. The greatest act of rebellion you can commit in this world is to reject the script. And all those who view this, please take heed to that. Stop calling yourself by labels that were never yours. Stop believing the fucking lies of superiority and inferiority. See yourself and others for what we truly are, human beings. Shades of the same spectrum. Hell, different notes of the same song. Shit. You know? Used to say, hey, I hope you don't mind the way I interact. I look forward to having more conversations. I don't mind, man. That's what you're in the chat for interaction. You know? Anyway, the longer we play this stupid ass game of race, the longer we will remain slaves. I'm gonna take you out of your flow state, but I want to do my part in speaking about something I find important. There's an ongoing situation involving a young black man who goes by D4VD. Well, take care. Convenience. Look into it if you'd like to. D4VD. I'll check it out after I get off my lunch break. You know. Anyway. Oh man. I for one, people, I refuse to keep playing this game. I don't check. So still listening. Indeed, brother. I don't check any of the boxes that say race with applications, and I don't call myself black. Why would I call myself something that in the very fucking moment, if you open up a dictionary, you'll see all types of negative attachments to this word. Fuck that. You're not going to play these psychological games with me. Like I said, I refuse to play it. Do you refuse to play it? If you do, and you're catching this on the playback, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because what I'm going to do is dismantle all the cognitive dissonance, all the ego issues, all the infighting, all of this nonsense with, you know, transactional relationships. That's what I'm here for. Anyway, peoples, I got to ride. Lunch is over. 31 minutes, 13 seconds. Perfect. Wow. Maybe I ought to do more of these lives. See, luckily I've been raised not to play those games. My parents moved so different, and I don't know what to say except I feel blessed in comparison. Good, good. Be a catalyst, Ian. Be a catalyst for change. If you, I mean, and do it subtly, because if you try to bombard people with too much information, they will spurn you away. They will reject you. I've been finding that out big time. So anyway, let me ride, my man. Take care.